totally out of the blue, and this is one of the wonderful things about being a master at a college. The phone goes, you pick it up, and you don't know who's on the end of the line. So I had a call from Françoise Dredgian, the wife of Ed Dredgian at Baker Institute. She said, oh, Mr. Baker wants to give Baker College a gift. I said, oh, that's nice. I said, what is it?
I'm an avid hunter, and I love to hunt, and even big game, and I particularly like to hunt elk, North American elk, because my father took me elk hunting way back in 1944 when I was only 14 years old in Wyoming. And I fell in love with it, fell in love with the state and with elk hunting. I killed a really big, magnificent bull elk a number of years ago. And we had the head in the Baker Institute, but it really overwhelmed the place. It's so big, it's much too big for that. I thought about the commons here at Baker College because it's big, it's got a high ceiling. And I thought, you know, I really ought to give that elk to Baker College. And Baker College and I are named after the same person, after Captain James Baker.
So there I was, suddenly it was surreal, walking up with Secretary of State Baker, up to Baker College, showed him into the Commons, and he had a look, and he looked on the walls, and we decided on a space that this elk head, who Mr. Baker called Roy, could be. And I said, okay, well, I'll ask the students, and at the next cabinet meeting, I put it to the students, and they all said, yeah, this would be great.
So then we sent it over here from the Baker Institute, and he said, you know, it would really be nice if you were able to come over and visit with us on a particular evening, some weekday evening. You're a Baker College associate, and maybe you could have a dialogue with the students and formally present the elk head to Baker College. So that's why I'm here.
Okay, welcome everyone. On this wonderful occasion, we're so pleased to welcome Secretary Baker to the college that was named after his grandfather, Captain Baker.
I'd love to hear from you about what concerns you, whether it's foreign policy, economic policy, politics, government service in general, or mine in particular. I hope you'll ask any questions that occur to you.
I was just wondering what the biggest change has been in the nature of politics since you started service and today?
What I tell people today in speeches when I make it, and occasionally I've written in op-eds, is that we have an economically dysfunctional country today because we are so far in debt. You cannot be strong politically, diplomatically, or militarily if you're not strong economically.
If you were the sitting Secretary of the Treasury, what policies would you pursue specifically in the areas of spending, debt, and inflation?
Well, I would pursue the policies that Ronald Reagan pursued when he came into office in 1981, when interest rates were 21%, inflation was 18%, and the economy was in the tank, just like it was in the tank when President Obama came in. This is not a partisan political statement now, but I really believe that the reason we came out of that recession that Reagan inherited so quickly and created so many new jobs and created such sustained economic growth was because he put in place pro-growth economic policy.
I'm sure you've been in a lot of very intense political discussions and negotiations over the years, and I was wondering if you could tell us some of your more humorous moments with these public figures that you've had.
We'll get Ed Dredgian up here to tell you about the time I was negotiating with Hafiz al-Assad from Syria, where we used to have meetings that lasted, how long did they last? They had 7 to 8 hours. 6 hours and 48 minutes. We're sitting, and you know, we used to meet with him in this tiny little office in Damascus, where we had bulletproof glass on the windows, and these curtains were always drawn, and it was hot as hell in there. And he would give you this fruit punch to drink. And he loved to lecture us about Arab history, and, you know, Salah ad-Din and all that. And we'd drink that fruit punch, but he'd never give you a chance to go to the restroom. And so after a while, after we'd been there for about 5.5 hours on one occasion, I remember I just pulled my handkerchief out of my pocket and said, "I'm sorry, Mr. President, but I give up. I've got to go." And I wrote a chapter about this in my book, and I entitled the chapter Bladder Diplomacy.
I asked beforehand if he had heard the questions ahead of time, but he didn't. So they all just came to him, and he had perfect answers prepared for all of them. So it really is amazing. Like, he just has so much knowledge and so much experience, and I can't even imagine like being able to speak that eloquently and that knowledgeably about subjects. But it really just shows like how much he's experienced and how important of a person he is.
For me personally, I mean, I never really imagined that I would have something like this, like the former Secretary of State, come to where I live and just answer questions, especially since his grandfather is the one that our college is named after.
It gave me goosebumps. I was thinking, this is history in the making. All the students who came are going to remember this till the end of their days. They'll be telling their children and their grandchildren, you know, we were actually there when Secretary Baker spoke to us.
Thank you.
Thank you.